Alright, what is going on YouTube? MarineLord versus DeMusliM SteelSeries Prime Cup Quarterfinals over here. All four quarterfinals overlap, and we decided to go for this one with the live cast, and then I'll be casting the rest of them from recorded games for YouTube. MarineLord and DeMusliM, two rivals from StarCraft time. Good friends, a lot of trash talking in between the two though. The home maps will be Hillendale for DeMusliM and Lipony for MarineLord and Civilizations, as you see on the screen. Let's jump into game number 1. Down south, it is Mr. MarineLord playing as the Rus in blue, and to the north, it is going to be DeMusliM playing as the English in red. He played English in the previous sets he played as well on Arabia, and he used the big mass of longbows to perfection. So he has been pretty proficient when it comes to massing longbows and keeping them alive. And that's probably the first step that you want to take against the Rus over here. You don't want to throw away small groups of longbows. You want to have a big mass, because with that big mass of longbows, you can pick off cav archers from a great distance and just basically try to avoid confrontation. That's your idea, because once the cav archers get close, they should be able to beat the longbows. English sort of have to play an aggressive feudal age over here, do a lot of pressure on the opponent with forward towers, and just try to make sure that your opponent isn't able to mass those cav archers. I don't think that you can break the fast castle, but you might be able to deny wood or food to prevent the cav archer flood. Looking at the map of MarineLord, he's got a back gold mine, but really no one cares about that one with the Rus. He's just going to play the standard fast castle approach over here with the hunting cabin on the wood. Scouts coming out into professional scouts, and the bigger question for him is the wood lines. Look at this. 2 wood lines on the right side. The dream scenario for DeMusliM is a tower here. If he gets a tower up around here with a couple of longbows, it's going to be very difficult for MarineLord to access wood. There is basically none on the left side. Very, very limited patches of trees out here. So DeMuslim's angle of attack should be this one and going for wood control. Meanwhile, for our red player, he's got a nice gold mine at the back, which definitely is safe. Wood line on the left side. His other wood line is quite a bit on the front though, so that's not ideal. Looking at MarineLord, he is going out for a hunt, currently at 135 bounty already, so that's a nice start to work with. DeMusliM actually went for a second scout from his town center, something that you want to do when you're playing with the English, or probably even any civilization, against the Rus. You need a second scout to make sure that you can take down the huntables and prevent the bounty to be collected by the Rus player. So, if you're not playing something like Mongols that can just go for a stable to add scouts, or you're not playing a civilization that can go for a lot of early scouts, like Rus, or as I said, the Mongols, then you want to make an additional scout from your town center against the Rus, just to limit the amount of bounty that MarineLord is able to get here with the Rus. In the end, DeMusliM cleans up this entire patch of huntables. It was a nice luck for him that the 2 patches spawned together, so he didn't really have to look for them. He actually cleans both of them up, leaving just 1 deer behind. On the other side though, MarineLord also cleaning up 2 patches of huntables, kills a wolf, and he's already at 235. So that is already a decent start. You want to get to that 250 benchmark for MarineLord. If he gets there, he should be perfectly fine, and all he needs to do is just take down that 1 deer out there, or take down this wolf. The Muslim start wasn't bad over here. He took down 2 patches of huntables, but MarineLord got most of the wolves. And the wolves are actually more impactful than the deer is. Look at that. That's 25 gold over there. It's going to be 25 gold over here on the right side, and additional 25 over here. So when you're trying to deny hunt from the Rus, it's actually more valuable to trigger the wolves and bring them home, kill them fast with your town center, than to go for the deer. This being said, MarineLord is up to 320 bounty, which is absolutely beautiful. He can't really hope for more than that in a 1v1 matchup, especially on Arabia. Count Zilho coming in here for DeMusliM, as you would expect. He is pretty heavy on the wood department and also quite heavy on the food. Pulled all villagers from gold, so to me it feels like it's gonna be full longbowman pressure. If he pulls all villagers away from gold, that however means that he's not going for any siege upgrade anytime soon, because he would need gold for that. Meanwhile, on the other side, we're gonna have professional scouts coming in for MarineLord, as you would expect. He's already moving up towards this patch of huntables. He is going to try to steal as much as possible. Now, DeMusliM is almost done with that council hall, and if he starts popping out longbows, he might be able to deny most of the hunt being stolen. He won't be able to deny everything, but what I would expect is that MarineLord picks up 4 carcasses, brings them back home, and he won't be able to pick up the next batch. By the way, the 2 deer spawning close together actually helps for the Muslim here, because he doesn't need to look out for 2 patches of huntables. He can just leave 5 longbows here if he really wants to, and make sure that neither of these huntables are accessible in the long run for MarineLord. He won't be able to deny these scouts right now, but probably for the next turn he can attempt to do so. Stable coming in for MarineLord. Ooh, he's spicing things up here. So, one of the things to note is that the fast castle cav archer play is the riskiest against mass foot archers. So, that's where you want to reconsider going for cav archers. You can just go for knights in castle age, that can work nicely. And it looks like MarineLord instead is going to play this one safe. He's going for early knights. Now here's the problem with this. Early knights are nice and everything, but they're very, very expensive. So if you go for early knights, you're pretty much giving up on your fast castle build. It's going to be good against the longbows, but once we see some spearmen being added, it will force MarineLord to start adding archers, and we're just going into a full-blown feudal age war. And I think that's a win for the English, because the biggest danger here is that your opponent with the Rus will beat you to castle age. So I feel like it's a dream scenario for the Muslim if you're seeing knights versus longbows fighting over here. You see, as I said, the first batch of carcasses will be taken away, the next one won't. Now, the most important thing right now for the Muslim is to be active with those scouts. He needs to know what his opponent is up to, and you see that MarineLord is hiding the knights over here. That's clever. He knows exactly that, okay, I can't just show my knights just yet, because if I show them, my opponent is going to start making spearmen. But if I hide them, I make 3-4 knights, I can jump on those longbows and just clean all of them up. Defensive tower on the way for MarineLord. The Muslim is moving in though, so I'm not even sure if that tower goes up, and that's a disaster for MarineLord. This is what I was talking about. If you can sort of camp this angle, that could be an absolute disaster for MarineLord. Here come the knights. You probably want to drop down those palings while you still can. Oh, horsemen. Triggering the charge of those knights, that was a very good move from the Muslim. You could see that he sent in this scout to absorb the charge, and basically because of that, the knights were not able to get a charge in on those longbows, and we already got spearmen out. I think he was expecting either horsemen or knights. Very nice idea from the Muslim. Not something that you see every day when you're fighting against the Rus nowadays, because most people just assume that your opponent is gonna go for fast castle cav archers, but in this scenario, the Muslim was like, okay, what if he goes for either horsemen or knights? I need a couple of spearmen. Now, there is some archers coming in from MarineLord, as 1 knight falls from the Muslim. So, with those archers coming in, he can try to snap the spearmen, but it's going to be difficult, because the longbows have the range advantage. So the longbows can just focus down the archers, and then the spearmen will protect them. And at this point, as I said, while MarineLord isn't actually suffering from a setback whatsoever, the problem for him is that he's not progressing towards castle age at all, and he's going for gold-heavy units, knights, but he's not mining gold. So currently, MarineLord is consuming all his gold, and potentially is in the need of using the Golden Gate to get the gold he needs for the knights. So he won't be able to sustain massive amounts of knight production over here. 4 hardened spearmen is enough here, I believe, for the Muslim to take this fight. Charge was successful from the knights though. Archers trying to focus down the spearman. 1 knight falls. There's another spearman coming in though. Another knight is super, super weak, and look at this, the Muslim focusing down the archers. That's exactly what he needs to do. Once the archers are gone, the spearmen will deal with the rest of the cavalry. There's only 1 spearman left, however, and there is still 2 knights, quite a lot of scouts over here. No more spears arriving on the battlefield, so it looks like MarineLord edges out victory here. More scouts on the way for MarineLord. I think MarineLord actually needs to focus the scouts here, because I don't think that he can kill the knights. But if he kills a couple more scouts, it's going to be more difficult for MarineLord to bring in the carcasses. Looks like, in the end, this army gets cleaned up. MarineLord, 700 food in the bank, though. How crazy is this? How crazy is this? This is, I'm not gonna say completely broken, but it probably is. Because, just take a look at the fact that MarineLord hasn't been mining gold at all in this entire game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there is absolutely no gold mining operation whatsoever. He's at 900 food, 470 gold, and he's been making knights all day. How is this balanced? Like, at this situation, he should be at like 0 food, 0 gold, because he's consuming all of that onto knights and archers. He's able to facilitate a knight archer production without a single bit of gold being mined and still get up to Castle Age faster. And it's not like DeMusliM did anything wrong. I think DeMusliM did the very thing that he needed to do. But it's just that crazy Rus economy. And notice that MarineLord was able to swoop in and take another 5 carcasses here, so he's got an insane amount of hunt to work with. The Golden Gate, now out of tickets, so MarineLord will have to wait a tiny bit. He's probably gonna sell food here to go up, and indeed, there it goes. Abbey of the Trinity will be rushed up, and now DeMusliM is in trouble. Because his opponent is on the way to Castle Age, and he's very, very far away. This Golden Gate, I think, recharges a little too fast. This was something I was thinking about even before this set and even before this tournament. The biggest advantage that you're getting from this Golden Gate is that it's very, very effective, but the recharge rate is really fast. So you can make like 4 or 5 transactions in just a few minutes. If this was a slower recharge rate in Feudal Age, you would be able to, or you would be unable to exploit this one this much, I think. Yeah, 1 per minute is a really fast recharge for this. If you think about it, you hit Feudal Age at like 3 minutes, so in 7 minutes of time you can make 7 transactions. That's a ton of resources. I think in Feudal Age it should be reduced to 1 per 2 minutes or so. Because that way, you would be much more limited by the transactions, so it would be a lot more difficult to just bring in all the food and sell it for gold, to go for fast castle, or just to produce knights that way. Abbey of the Trinity is up for MarineLord. He isn't even really rushing it. Sometimes you see 14, 15 villagers building it. It's only 7 right now. And we are gonna have... Blacksmith on the way for Mr. MarineLord here. For now, he's going for knights, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of horse archers hitting the field as well. Gotta love the scouts hiding in that stealth forest though. They're probably waiting for those longbows to leave so that they can swoop in and take the carcasses. You see that DeMusliM is like, okay, I know he's gonna come in for the carcasses, I'm gonna try to intercept him, try to pick him off, but that's not gonna be the case over here. Blacksmith on the way for DeMusliM. He's not far away from Castle Age either, and he's leveraging the power of that English farming quite a bit. The problem for him is that his opponent is gonna have a head start into Castle Age, and we know that what that means. It's gonna be in relics. So at this point, MarineLord doesn't have to push his opponent. All he needs to do is start picking up relics. There is one on the left side, one on the right side, and one all the way up top. This one are a little challenging to grab, but this, and this should be easily accessible for MarineLord over here. Knights swooping in here, trying to harass the farmers. That's going to be the first villager casualty of the game if it actually goes down. Spearman chasing down the knights. That is one dead villager out here on the gold mine. DeMusliM's lack of mobility would be a troublesome for him, but he's gonna go for walls. That's something that he did in the set he played yesterday as well. I casted, I think, his round of 16 set. He went for a lot of walls, and that's actually a pretty decent way to try and negate all those raids over here. That's gonna be 2 more villagers going down though, because the wall wasn't finished. So the knights can escape, take down 2 more villas. Definitely a good start over here for our blue player MarineLord. DeMusliM is coming up with the King's Palace. So he's gonna have 2 town centers working for him though. He will be able to start building an economy advantage in the long run. But of course his opponent is gonna have relics, so I'm not sure if that's gonna be enough for DeMusliM. Not necessarily the best fight ever. He's going to get some nice hits on those knights, but these are only Feudal Age spearmen, and the knights were also able to charge in. And now with the veteran archers moving up, they can focus down the spears. MarineLord will take a quite advantageous fight over here, despite fighting against the spearmen with the cavalry. It's better numbers for him. Also, Castle Age units versus Feudal Age over here, as we will have all the longbows getting cleaned up. Currently, MarineLord is sitting at 26 army. DeMusliM is at 5. And now he's going to have to evacuate his wood line, and oh boy, wait a minute, he stopped building that King's Palace. He stopped building that King's Palace for a long time. I think when the knights swooped in, he stopped building it, so his Castle Age was a tiny bit delayed. Now, what's the plan here for DeMusliM? Because he can try to go for like mass longbows, but he sort of needs to start contesting the map ASAP. Otherwise, his opponent is just gonna collect all the relics, start securing the sacred sites, and the amount of gold that MarineLord will get from there is just going to be enormous. It's worth noting that MarineLord is still swooping in to take the deer carcasses left here. I love that move. You move in with those leftover scouts, you take 2 or 3 more carcasses. That's going to help boost your economy a tiny bit. So there is nothing really that you can do with those scouts anymore, so might as well swoop in and take the rest of those huntables. Archers now moving in, and that farming eco is definitely exposed over here. The Muslim's food income could just collapse here if those archers just camp the farms, and that's a disaster for him. And without food income, it's going to be extremely difficult to pop out those longbowmen. It's also worth noting that your council hall is up front over here. So if the archers just camp around this area, they can kill the longbows that spawn in that very moment. So they can just cut off reinforcements very, very easily. A couple of knights here could help for the Muslim, but this is gonna be insanely difficult to fight against, mainly because of the economy of our Rus player. 2 archers flanking to the left side, killing 1 villager that was trying to build the walls, and if they just camp over here in this little crossing, they can potentially take down 3, 4, 5 more villagers because the Muslim is too busy fighting on the right side. English is a great defensive civilization with the longbows. They have the higher range, the network of castles bonus, so that can help quite a bit just to control this side with your long-range longbows and try to force your opponents away. But still, look at that. The entire food eco of the Muslim is just idle over here. Cleanup happened over here, so now it is just the right side left to clean up. But behind this one, if you look at the resource income, it's way better for MarineLord. We're talking about 4 times the food, 4 times the gold. I don't see this one working out for the Muslim. He simply is suffering a lot of damage on his economy. Even if he's not losing villagers, it comes down to idle time. Whereas on the other side, you see MarineLord is already at 2 sacred sites, and he's gonna have the 3rd one soon. He's probably going to be sitting at 5 relics and 3 sacred sites, and he's even coming in to steal that relic. That is just going to be 5 relics with 3 sacred sites. That is not something that you can compensate against. That's just way too much gold income. MarineLord can pull everyone from gold, and he's still gonna have an insane gold income. Probably the final fight of the game, because the Muslim is trying to break out, but his entire army is gonna get cleaned up. All the farming eco will be denied, and behind this one, MarineLord has complete map control, and the moment MarineLord takes the 3rd sacred site, the Muslim taps out. MarineLord takes a rather decisive win over here, fueled by that Rus economy. Oh boy, Rus. We have seen some successful moves to stop the Rus, but it's very, very difficult to stop this build, because the start wasn't bad for the Muslim, but he wasn't able to deny the hunt from his opponent, and he wasn't really able to deny the access to wood either. And once his initial force of longbowmen and spearmen got cleaned up, MarineLord just had an untouched economy. Villager counts were slightly better for MarineLord all around. I don't think that he lost a single villager in this game, and if you go back to this graph, this is where the Muslim's chances start to disappear. Because he lost all his army, and from that point on, MarineLord could just go all the way to Castle Age, start building up those Castle Age knight numbers. Also played a lot of veteran archers, but started to mix in horse archers in the end. Alrighty, so the Muslim losing the first game over here, as we will head to game number 2. Game number 2 is going to be on the home map of the Muslim, which is Hill and Dale, a map where Chinese mirrors could be a thing. Chinese versus French could be an option, because we have seen French being used in some cases on Hill and Dale. Technically, Holy Roman Empire is an option, but I feel like Chinese is superior here for the Muslims, so I would expect either Chinese mirrors or Chinese versus French coming in. If it's French for MarineLord, then he's gonna go English in the Lipany game if we go game number 3. But MarineLord is going with the Chinese, and there is the surprise. The Muslim is going for the Holy Roman Empire. That is a little surprising. The Holy Roman Empire definitely has its options, but the problem with the HRE is that they don't have anything amazing in late Imperial. if you compare it to Chinese, Chinese can go Fire Lancers once they have the resources to afford the Yuan dynasty. They have those long-range bombards with high HP, so a lot to love about Chinese in post-Imperial. Whereas, if you talk about the Holy Roman Empire, they have a great men-at-arms play, but that just dies to hand cannoneers. Their siege isn't exceptional, so I feel like the Chinese is actually better civilization here. I'm a big Holy Roman Empire fan, but their lack of late-game power units is actually something that haunts them quite a bit. Alright. Let's set up the betting, as we do have 20 seconds remaining until the game begins. We're going to Hillandale, as I said, and we will have Holy Roman Empire for the Muslim and Chinese for MarineLord. One thing is sure, the Muslim can't afford to play this one in a very, very slow way. He needs to be aggressive, and he needs to make sure he doesn't bring this game to post-Imperial, because post-Imp, I think Chinese will defeat the Holy Roman Empire, but that mid-late Castle Age timing is what the Muslim wants to hit with the Holy Roman Empire. We're jumping into game number 2. To the north, we are gonna have MarineLord with the Chinese opening with a tax collector immediately, going for a hunt. That's usually the way that you start with. You're going to supervise this mill, and that's going to increase your dropped off food amount at that mill. You also have the hunt working for you, so that's gonna be quite a lot of food income right at the beginning. And down south, we are going to have the Muslim playing as the Holy Roman Emperor. He's gonna have the Prelate boosting his economy. So when it comes to the Prelate eco, usually you are using fast feudal into stable professional scouts approach, because the idea is that you want to bring back the carcasses and sort of just collect the hunt using villagers inspired by the Aachen Chapel. Whereas on the other side, the Chinese usually play fast feudal into professional scouts here as well, because they want to bring in some carcasses close to this mill that's being supervised. So it's gonna be a race for the neutral huntables, one patch over here and one patch over here. And the Chinese should have an advantage in that race, because the Chinese can get their professional scouts tech a little faster when the mill is being supervised, and they can pump out some scouts a lot faster from their stable once the stable is being supervised. The Muslim coming in with a gold mine already on the front. With the Holy Roman Empire, you have to start mining gold quite early if you have gone for a prelate, which is basically always the case, simply because you are spending your initial gold on that prelate. I love how he's boosting up the gold miners, and then he's going back for the food gatherers. That's exactly what you want to do. You sort of want to micro this prelate in between your food and gold economy, so you're maximizing the amount of villagers that are being inspired. If you just only keep it on your food eco, your gold income won't be that amazing at the beginning, so you will be floating a lot of food and you won't have the gold to age up to feudal age. If you balance it in between food and gold, you should have no trouble getting to feudal age in a very, very nice timing. Looking at the Muslim, he is going to find this patch of huntables being trailed by 4 sheep with his scout. He also has 3 more back at home. On the other side, MarineLord doesn't have a single sheep close to his town center, but he's being trailed by 5. So he's gonna be able to drop it off any moment. For now, of course, he's focusing on the hunt, so that is not a major issue right now. Looking at that eco balance, this is what I was talking about. If you balance your prelate perfectly, you're going to nail a very nice feudal age timing with the Holy Roman Empire, because that gather rates boost of the HRE is just massive. Here comes the Aachen Chapel. This should be able to affect the gold miners. Probably a lumberjacking operation over here, and you're just going to send your food gatherers to this side, so they'll be affected by the Aachen Chapel as well. Meanwhile, on the other side, you see that MarineLord is a little slower to feudal age. That's one of the characteristics of the Chinese build here. The tax collector is pretty food heavy, so it's going to delay your feudal age a tiny bit. And if you're only going for tax gold income, you're also gonna have to wait until you acquire the gold needed for feudal age. MarineLord is going for gold mining though, which is a sign that he wants to go for professional scouts and potentially even go for early Song Dynasty here, because otherwise, if he just wanted to go fast feudal, he probably wouldn't be mining that much gold. Usually, when you start mining a lot of gold, that's a sign for Song Dynasty. He's going up with the Imperial Palace actually, so not even Barbican of the Sun. He feels that his opponent won't push him here. If he was afraid of a push, he would make the Barbican of the Sun around here to protect his base. He feels completely safe. He's gonna go for the Imperial Academy, which is going to have a nice effect on his economy with that extra tax gold he's getting from this lumber camp and this supervised mill, that's going to help quite a bit when it comes to getting the gold he needs for Castle Age or Song Dynasty. Other side, we do have the Aachen Chapel nearly finishing. What is that mill? That's an interesting mill. So, here's the thing. DeMusliM built that mill over here because he wants to grab professional scouts immediately. And he didn't have a villager out here that would have built it on the berries or on the hunt. You don't even want to mill your hunt because you want to bring it in close to your town center. So the idea is that you want to have your food gatherers in the influence radius of the Aachen Chapel. It's fine right next to the Aachen Chapel, it's just not needed because your town center is already here. The ideal spot would have been here, so you can use it on the berries later, and you can still drop off the food inside the Aachen Chapel's radius right next to your town center. So this mill is a little awkward here. It's gonna be good for farming in the future, by the way, so I'm not saying it's terrible, but it's a little awkward. Stable coming in this nice scenic position, look at that. It is just overseeing that valley perfectly over here, and we should have scouts coming out for the Muslim. Other side, we do have a MarineLord with the Imperial Academy already in, and as I said, you're going to have a very fast professional scouts research over here because the building is being supervised by the Imperial officer, and once it's done, you might actually consider sending your officer to supervise your stable. It depends on how fast you want your scouts out. If you feel like it's more valuable to just boost your food income and get rid of the tax, you don't need to supervise the stable. But if you really want to rush those scouts out and make a run for it before your opponent takes your hunt, then you can supervise your stable. MarineLord already coming in with the scouts. He should be able to pick up all the hunt on this side. And on the other side, where's the scout at for the Muslim? He's moving out to the north. So he wants to steal some hunt from his opponent. I like that idea. Because this one is currently a tiny bit exposed. He might be able to take one or two carcasses. And then he's gonna go for this one, which is a little more difficult for MarineLord to steal. Because they're just so far away from his base. Looking at the economies real quickly over here, you see food is pretty much the same income, slightly better wood income for the Muslim, slightly better gold income. That's sort of what you would expect when the economy of one player is boosted by the Aachen Chapel. In the long run, the Chinese economy is going to start kicking in, but at the beginning, those prelates are a little more impactful. Hunt will be dropped off at the mill, as you would expect. Also, MarineLord was able to acquire quite a lot of sheep over here. He's up to 9 right next to that mill, and we do have some walls coming in for the Muslim. Now, he hasn't walled off his far left side yet, and I wonder if he actually will, because he hasn't sent out a villager yet to that side, as the Muslim is getting close to Castle Age. Probably the next step for him is to go for Fast Castle here, because he already has the Aachen Chapel boosting him. He's bringing in the carcasses right now, so next step is just getting the food he needs for Castle Age. Pop out 2 or 3 knights to control the map, and then just try to get the relics. Speaking of relics, there is one in this corner that should be easily accessible, one rather close to his base on the north and one on the right side, so he should have no trouble picking up 3 relics for the Regnitz Cathedral. And as much as the Muslim was stealing hunt from MarineLord's side, the same can be said of MarineLord. He is going to dive in and take some carcasses to himself. At the end of the day, I think the 2 players end up with pretty much the same amount of hunt under their town center or their respective mill, as now the Imperial Academy is going to start kicking in. You see 320 tax gold already on that mill. This is one of those time frames where you can actually justify having a tax collector that's full-time tax collection duty, and that's exactly what MarineLord is doing. In fact, he has 2 tax collectors working out right now. He already has gotten the upgrade on the carry capacity on the Imperial officers, so now they carry 40 gold apiece. As we have the Regnitz Cathedral coming in for the Muslim, as expected. And as I said, you probably want to start adding some knights over here once you get to Castle Age, so you can secure those relics 100%. Meanwhile, on the other side, the question is, will MarineLord add a couple of horsemen to try and deny some of the relics? Because that's probably his best bet. Looks like he's going up to Castle Age with the clock tower, so if he gets a comparable Castle Age timing, he might even make a couple of lancers trying to deny those relics. Was up for Mr. Muslim all around his base, and you already have the prelate moving out. It's a little risky to send it out alone because there's a lot of wolves lying around. There is potentially some scouts around from MarineLord, so leaving that prelate alone is not something I'm a major fan of, but he should have no trouble from that one because Relic is pretty close and he should be able to run back home. Castle Age is in, and indeed you're seeing a couple of knights being added just to be sure and secure all that free relics that he needs. Other side, we do have the clock tower coming in for MarineLord, and he's indeed adding a couple of horsemen to try and control the map. I don't think that he's gonna be able to deny more than 3 relics here. So he might be able to deny this one and this one, maybe this one, but you see that there is already 2 relics being brought back, and I think the Muslim should be able to pick this one up as well. So it's gonna be 3 relics, and that's what you want to get to when you are playing with the Ragni's Cathedral. Anything above that is very nice, but not necessary, sort of. 3 relics is where you want to get, because that's what caps out your Ragni's Cathedral. Prelate moving out, and that is going to be a very, very sad Prelate over here, because that's a lot of scouts and horsemen jumping on him. So that's gonna be a Prelate lost here for the Muslim in all certainty. He doesn't have a knight nearby. I don't think that he was expecting MarineLord to push him on this side. The Relic is gonna get a little closer to his base by like a tile or so, but he's gonna have to send a new Prelate for that. Meanwhile, we are having Lancers coming in, and I did mention that this Relic is currently a question mark. It's actually possible for MarineLord to try and deny that, but with all the scouts arriving, with some knights hitting the field as well, it's gonna be difficult for MarineLord to keep denying that. But he's got the Imperial Officers. He could supervise the stable and just flood a couple more knights out and keep denying that. Monastery coming in for MarineLord, he's going for those relics. He's not giving up, and he now has 2 stables, so there is a legitimate chance that MarineLord denies that. That would be a massive accomplishment, because that relic is rather close to the base of the Muslim, so being able to deny that would be a huge thing. Double barracks coming in for the Muslim though, so we're going to see some spearmen being added here to swing the battle in his favor. Looks like the horsemen and the knights will force back the Muslim for the time being, but once he's up to those 2 barracks, we could see some spearmen coming in, but it looks like he's going men-at-arms quite early on. He's grabbing the Castle men-at-arms upgrade and also 200 weapons. He already has the maces upgrade. Now, the men-at-arms with the maces and 200 weapons will perform decently against Lancers. The problem is that those upgrades take a lot of time, and by the time you finish them and get out here, MarineLord could actually take that relic. In fact, he has a huge army over here, so he can stall it out and just bring a monk, pick this one up first. Looks like he's going for this relic right at the beginning, so he just wants to secure the safe relics, and for now he's just denying this one, but I think he could send a monk forward and try to pick this one up as a starter. Meanwhile, you have 2 Lancers lurking around this gate. Nice move from MarineLord once again. He is like, okay, I'm just gonna make sure that you're not getting out of that gate or out of your base through that gate without me seeing it. And now MarineLord switches gears. He's got quite a lot of Lancers out here, might as well break through that palisade gate and potentially even run into the opponent's base, start killing stuff. And you see, villagers are being pulled here by the Muslim. He wasn't really expecting this attack on his starting base, and that's not a small force. We're talking about 7 Lancers, a horseman, and 4 scouts. The 7 Lancers are obviously the power unit over here. Some men-at-arms are being added, but this could very well be 1 or 2 villagers being picked off, potentially prelates being sniped, which would be a massive value out here. Meanwhile, MarineLord is picking up the first relic in the middle, and you see, this is not something that the Muslim was expecting, as he's going up to Imperial Age of the Palace of Swabia. So, he's playing that fast imp with the villager printer, Palace of Swabia. Now it's gonna be a rather even trade here, as we do have some men-at-arms coming in, but the prelates will be sniped down, and that once again delays the Muslim accessing that 3rd relic, and that's exactly what MarineLord wants. Coming in with 3 more men-at-arms here to support the knights. That's gonna be quite a few villagers dead. So if you look at the villager count right now, it is going to be 45 versus 35. That's a massive amount of villagers lost. And it's still not Song Dynasty for MarineLord. So it is not about a faster villager production for the Chinese here, it's brute force villager kills. Those Lancers are getting great value for themselves. That has been at least like 6, 7, 8 villager kills. Oh boy. Oh boy, this is getting worse and worse for the Muslim. 46 civilians for MarineLord, 26! He might be dead. He might be dead. There is going to be the Palace of Swabia, so there is a chance for redemption, but he just lost like 20 villagers. When these knights ran in, I was like, okay, they will kill like 4 or 5 villagers, which is not ideal, but come on, they killed pretty much the entire economy of the Muslim. Luckily for him, he's got the Palace of Swabia to reboom. But obviously, losing 20 villagers like that is still something that hurts like crazy. So, Palace of Swabia, very cheap villagers, you train at 4 town centers rate, so you should be able to reboom over here, but it's gonna take some time. It's 26 villas versus 48. And the thing that is problematic right now for the Muslim is that this delays him moving out for this relic. Because you see that MarineLord already yoinked it, so not only have you just lost like 20 villas, so you're going to need some time until you recover, even with the Palace of Swabia, you also lost 3 relics to MarineLord. So overall, the relic gold income is going to be 600 for the Muslim with the Ragnes Cathedral per minute, and 300 for MarineLord. Still double for our red player, but I think MarineLord did the best he could to deny those relics from the HRE player over here. So now, Aachen Chapel, Villager Printer, and 2 Ragnes Cathedral relics, that's what the Muslim has to build his strategy on. He needs a fast recovery here. This is one of those situations where I could actually even think about using this TC. Normally, when you make your Palace of Swabia, you stop making villagers on your town center because it's not cost effective. 50 food per villager versus 12, you just go for the Palace of Swabia, especially because it trains villagers faster. But you actually need to recover quite rapidly over here, because if you don't, the Chinese player will take this game into late Imperial and the Chinese unit composition will clack you. So I feel like even with the Palace of Swabia here, you could justify making villagers because you need to make a very, very fast recovery here. Meanwhile, Lancers controlling the map firmly over here for MarineLord. He hasn't been super aggressive with his forces, but that one break-in into the Muslims' base definitely decimated the villager count over there. MarineLord going for TC number 2, and now he's up to Song Dynasty, so the Barbican of the Sun is up here, overseeing this valley. It's actually a very nice position for it, because it gives him a lot of vision in front of his base. So, now it's Song Dynasty, 2 town center boom. The Palace of Swabia is still going to be faster, but of course you got the tax income here, MarineLord has 3 relics to work with, and I feel like the big thing here would be that MarineLord can once again apply pressure to the Muslims' base. We're seeing some crossbowmen hitting the field, and those crossbows will deal with both the knights of the Muslim and the men-at-arms as well. So once we have like 10 crossbows on the field with all those knights out there, it's gonna be difficult for the Muslim to hold this one. 58 villagers for MarineLord right now. The Muslim is at 53. But the gate is being burnt down, and the more interesting question is the army numbers. 14 army for the Muslim, 23 for MarineLord, but MarineLord's got some crossbows over here to deal with those knights. What else does the Muslim have? He mostly has men-at-arms. The men-at-arms and the heavy maces are actually very good against knights or lancers, but obviously the crossbows will help a lot here, swing this battle in the favor of Mr. MarineLord. Looping around with the knights is MarineLord. He once again could kill a couple of villagers on that food eco. Oh, this is just annoying for the Muslim. Mainly because these villager losses would be avoidable, I would say. Elite men-at-arms and 1 Landsknecht is also in here, but now it's crossbows and the prelate goes down. The Landsknecht is actually something that could deal with those crossbows quite nicely, but they're fairly fragile, so the Lancers will deal with them quite decently, and it looks like Knights will just jump straight on top of those villagers. MarineLord knows exactly that if he kills 10-15 villagers here, that once again will set back his opponent by 2 or 3 minutes, and MarineLord also securing all 3 sacred sites behind this one, so the sacred site countdown begins. At 27 minutes, the Muslim would lose this game. Crossbows dealing with all those men-at-arms, and behind this one, the Knights are just killing villagers left and right. You can replace those villagers with the Pass of Swabia, but everything takes time, and I feel like the Muslim is running out of time over here. With all those Lancers moving in on the wood line, you see men-at-arms chasing down those Lancers, and the raids are just perfect here for MarineLord. 67 villagers for MarineLord, 50 still for the Muslim, and that is with the Palace of Swabia available for our red player here. Knights will be cleaned up here at the end, but now MarineLord, if you look at his economy, he's got 3 relics, 3 sacred sites, and he's got the villager advantage right now. So, except for the food economy, his resource income in general is better. still, he's not giving up over here. It's his tournament life on the line, so might as well try his best. Men-at-Arms and Landsknechte out here. He's gonna reroll this one. But I think we're getting to the next stage because we're soon going to see an Imperial Age from MarineLord, although his resources are looking quite low, especially on the food department. He's playing this one safe with crossbows for the time being, but the bigger thing at this point is that once he gets to Imperial Age, he's gonna have those high HP bombards with the Chinese. He could think about a couple of Nest of Bees if he's afraid of this infantry flood, because Nest of Bees combined with crossbows would deal with everything that the HRE have infantry-wise. The crossbows will take down the men-at-arms, and the Nest of Bees can kill the Landsknechte quite easily because these guys don't have a lot of high HP or like a lot of HP. So, MarineLord currently sitting on 1800 gold as we speak. His food eco isn't necessarily impressive, we're only talking about a couple of farms, so he's kind of far from having a good food eco, but he's now on free town centers. Free Song Dynasty town centers, and I think we actually did the math on it, that the Palace of Swabia is slightly slower than free Song Dynasty town centers. Currently, 82 villagers over here for MarineLord, 68 for the Muslim. The Muslim is moving up to try and break through these walls over here, launch a counterattack. MarineLord will try to respond with a stone wall, but that's being built quite slowly, so there's a chance that the wall isn't finished by the time the infantry breaks through. MarineLord knows that, and he's just going to start hitting those wall tiles. The thing is that he doesn't need a lot of HP on those walls, he just needs to start building them so the infantry can't run in, because the infantry can't burn down these walls, so it doesn't matter that the HP is low, you just need to start building it. Nice reaction from MarineLord, infantry couldn't break in, and now MarineLord knows exactly where his opponent's army at. Nest of Bees up with a couple of crossbows as well. We do have two Sacred Sites being neutralized, and the third one is also gonna be taken away from MarineLord, but the Nest of Bees launches a volley, and as I said, with that hill position, it's gonna be insanely difficult for the Muslim to keep his army alive against that Nest of Bees, even with staggered formation. Crossbows will just disintegrate all those men-at-arms. Another Nest of Bees setting up. Nest of Bees crossbows will be insanely difficult for the Muslim to deal with. And once we get to Imperial Age, Chinese bombards, crossbows, and Nest of Bees, not something that you can deal with using the Holy Roman Empire. Looking like we're gonna have a bit of a pursuit over here by MarineLord, trying to get some kills on those men-at-arms. He may have overextended a tiny bit over here though, because there come the Landsknechte, and if they jump on those crossbows, they can just annihilate them. They do have area damage, and the crossbows themselves are fairly fragile, so bit of an overextension here from MarineLord. Looks like he will have a chance to retreat though, and he's setting up the Nest of Bees, raining down death and destruction on that infantry. I feel like if this game wasn't over until now, it might be over now, because that's going to be the entire army of the Muslim getting absolutely shredded. He's still Imperial Age versus Castle Age, but as we discussed, a very long game favors the Chinese here simply based on unit composition basis. That is just an absolute slaughter over here. If you look at the KD, it's 112 kills for MarineLord versus 36 deaths. Looking at the economies, the Muslim is leading by a tiny bit, but once again, the deeper we go into this game, it's going to be less and less about the economy and more about the unit composition of the blue player or MarineLord. Still no Imperial Age for him though. He's just going for triple Town Center Song Dynasty boom, currently at 98 vills, whereas his opponent, actually no, that's MarineLord's opponent, the Muslim, at 100 vills, MarineLord is at 109, so now it's pretty much dead even villager count. We have a random wolf inside the base of MarineLord here, that's definitely annoying. If he doesn't turn back and fight this, he's going to start losing villagers, by the way, because the villagers will just ignore that wolf. We have seen players losing multiple villagers to wolves when they don't pay attention. I think he saw the wolf, so he should be able to kill it. He actually made a mining camp right next to that depleted gold mine. Not exactly sure what MarineLord is doing here, but probably not something that's crucial for the game, so he's gonna get away with that, taking the Sacred Site down south. The two other Sacred Sites are currently under the control of the Muslim, and he could actually take those. Remember, he still has two Ragni's Cathedral relics, and he's just flooding Landsknechte all day, all night. Now, what our red player, the Muslim, needs to do is go for Springolds with Roller Shadow triggers, because his opponent is still Castle Age. So if you go for the Imperial Age Springolds, you can snap down all siege, from MarineLord, including those nest of bees, and MarineLord is still far away from him. So Imperial Age unit flood here, Landsknechte and Springolds could actually work out. It could actually work out here. Because the only thing that MarineLord has to deal with the Landsknechte is the nest of bees. If you go for the Springolds with the 12 range in Imperial Age, you can snap those down quite nicely. Culverins could also work, but you probably want to go Springolds because simply they're a little cheaper. So you can get a couple of them out, snap the Springolds, and then charge in with the Landsknechte. That's probably your best bet. But you're on a timer here, because if you don't push Chinese before Imperial Age, you are probably going to die to their Imperial Age, because once we get to Imperial Age, they also have their high HP bombards that can just snipe over Springolds, and their bombards are even performing at an acceptable level against Culverins, which are supposed to be anti-siege. 186 population right now for MarineLord, 200 for the Muslims, so it's starting to be a now or never situation. He's got a fairly sizable force of spearmen, Landsknechte, and men-at-arms. Nice composition over here, but he needs something against those nest of bees. Keep coming in for MarineLord, and he's getting ready for Imperial Age. After getting to Imperial Age, you could justify going for Yuan Dynasty, so you can start going for Fire Lancers. But the ultimate deal from MarineLord here would be to go Ming Dynasty. It would be very expensive, but against full infantry, Grenadiers would be the perfect answer. It's a very, very expensive answer, though, and it's something that shouldn't be overlooked. Looks like some of the infantry are moving up to try and take a look at MarineLord's base out here. DeMusliM is actually playing this one very, very patiently. That's what I'm looking at. So, at this point, to me, it very much feels like he wants to just control the sacred sites. He just wants to play a slower game. And it's a little risky, as I said, because now MarineLord is up to Imperial. So, things are going to change quite a bit, because now we'll have Chinese bombards hitting the field. And that wasn't a factor so far. Now it will be a factor. DeMusliM once again playing this one very, very patiently, captures the sacred site up north, and he's actually going for a sacred site victory here, it seems. He's gonna have this one on the right side, the one in the middle, and the one rather close to it. So this could be 3 sacred sites under his control, forcing MarineLord to make a move. The problem that he's facing is that MarineLord is ready to make a move now, because there is bombards, and those bombards can take down those keeps very, very fast. One thing that I would love to see is the keeps in the middle being connected to the influence of the town center. That's quite a lot of effort, because you basically have to like line up a bunch of houses here to connect it, but you would really want to get it in the influence radius of a town center so you can get the emergency repairs ability, because that would help a lot against bombards, just buying yourself some time. There is the reinforced defenses coming in for Mr. Muslim. He's getting boiling oil after that. Yeah, you could just build a town center near the keep. That's also a solution. Alternatively, you can connect it to your starting town center. I've actually seen both. I've seen players making a line of houses to their starting town center, so it's connected to the influence radius. That's a legit thing. It's probably cheaper to make a town center, though. So, as things stand, both players are floating a ton of resources. 7,000 food in the bank for DeMusliM. 3,000 wood for MarineLord. Both of them are kind of low on gold and stone, however. Muslim looking at a huge army. It's also very well spread out, so he's ready to react to whatever is coming his way. The countdown for the Sacred Site victory started at around 27:30, so it should be around the 37:30 cutoff here for MarineLord to neutralize one Sacred Site. Looks like boiling oil is going to be in for the Muslim. Here comes MarineLord. He has a bunch of elite lancers out here, and he might be able to neutralize that sacred site very fast over here. Bombard setting up. Also, a couple of Springolds out here to deal with potential siege from the Muslim, but I think it's just gonna be a massive infantry flood. I feel like he just wants to overrun his opponent with like billions of infantry. That one keep is just going to fall so fast, as if it was made out of cardboard pretty much. And look at that, MarineLord is going to start playing trench warfare. He's going to start building up palisades here so he can prevent his bombards from being overrun by infantry. Oh boy, that's a lot of villagers that could die to Landsknecht there. That's a little risky having all those villagers clustered up against units with AoE damage. Imperial officers also getting slaughtered, and may the flood begin. That's a massive horde of infantry we're talking about. 76 infantry in here, many of those units having area damage, and MarineLord doesn't have a lot of map control. The Muslim still has the sacred sites, by the way, and that's a lot of villagers. I feel like you just want to kill those vills here. That's like 40 villagers that could go down the drain, all of them being clustered over here on the walls. Nest of Bees now shelling the infantry, however, so the Muslim will have to retreat. Boiling Oil is not done yet, which means that the infantry can charge in and just damage that keep before that upgrade comes in. No siege weapons though from the Muslim. He actually took a pretty decent fight over here, and he's probably playing the map control game. Notice that, wait a minute, I'm just noticing something pretty crucial. I will talk about that once this fight is over. But notice where the wood lines are at for MarineLord. There's absolutely no wood to work with for him here. Absolutely no wood. That's a disaster. And the bombards for the Chinese are very powerful. But what are you gonna do if you don't have any wood to make them? You see that MarineLord is banking up 3,000, so it's not the end of the world for him yet, but if he runs out of that, there's just basically no backup. I haven't even noticed this, but basically there's one on the left side and one on the south, as if some wood lines haven't really spawned. These should be a place for a wood line, for example. Neutralizing the sacred site is MarineLord. He just needs to buy himself some time over here. Lack of map control could hurt him quite badly though, because he's going to start running low on gold, he's going to start running low on wood, and at some point his bank is going to run out. Another keep will be placed over here. Yeah, he could go Ming Dynasty, that's absolutely true. He could go Ming Dynasty, although that's quite expensive for him, especially on the gold department. Look at that in the middle though. That is 11 bombards coming out for the Muslim. He replaced all the lost infantry with siege. And now he's just bashing down those walls. And the problem right now for MarineLord is that he needs resources, or especially the wood being spent right now. So, yeah, sure enough, he's floating 3,000 wood, but he needs bombards or springboards or anything right now, because otherwise he's gonna get his base leveled. Oh boy, that's a lot of bombards out here, and those keeps will melt like butter. What does MarineLord have? He's got 2 clock tower bombards. They don't have the range upgrade. I feel like 2 clock tower bombards are powerful, but they won't be able to deal with 8 bombards out here, and they're smashing everything. The monastery goes down, relics get dropped out, bombards not setting up yet. Oh, disaster for MarineLord. He didn't set up his bombard, so he's gonna eat a volley very fast over here. Men-at-Arms also trying to jump on the bombards. The other bombard gets intercepted, and that is just the absolute dream scenario for the Muslim here. He is stomping all those bombards with his own, and it's very difficult now for MarineLord to replenish them because the clock tower is gonna go down. You just want to finish off that 2 bombards on the left side, and you might be one of the happiest people out here. Still, quite a lot of firepower left over here for MarineLord, but on the left side, oh, that's a little ugly getting that bombard killed by the villagers, and this push is stalling out. The Muslim is still at 200 population, but where is it? Some infantry is coming through. Currently he's at 77 army population, but you just don't see that on the battlefield. Most of the siege here for MarineLord is gone, but he manages to secure the front of his base, so he is going to be able to rebuild the clock tower. You see he's already repairing it. He's getting another monastery up here to secure the relics. However, here comes the infantry flood. Look at that spam of infantry. Wolverines hitting the field as well. I feel like at this point, the Muslim is going for every possible unit accessible to his civilization. Going for some Landsknecht there, we've seen some spearmen out there, bombards, culverins, springboards, really anything that he can access. Some hand cannoneers join the party over here, which will be nice against the infantry in the long run. But the lack of siege could soon haunt MarineLord, because once the culverins and bombards come in, it's going to be difficult for MarineLord to keep his base alive. Men-at-Arms jumping on that clock tower bombard. The Knights will try to take down this bombard out here. Looks like this clock tower bombard stays alive. MarineLord is getting a lot of hand cannoneers out here though. Is this push stalling out here? That's the question. MarineLord is completely out of wood. if you look at his resource income, he has 30 wood per minute, and he's out of wood. So if DeMusliM just keeps up the pressure for like 2 or 3 more minutes, it's gonna be impossible to replenish those springolds, it's gonna be impossible to replenish the siege weapons, and more importantly, it's gonna be impossible to repair buildings, including landmarks, including the key production buildings that could go down. And you see, MarineLord knows that he's in trouble because he's sending quite a lot of villagers out here to deal with the siege. Quite a lot of hand cannoneers in here though, something that DeMusliM will need to deal with. Some more bombards join the party alongside some Culverins. Culverins are actually very, very good as an anti-siege weapon, but they won't deal with the hand cannoneers right now. Against the hand cannoneers, what you need is Landsknechte, because the Landsknechte are rather weak when it comes to their base HP, so the Holy Roman Empire Landsknecht here just takes a lot of overkill damage from the hand cannoneers. Hand cannoneers aren't super effective against the Landsknechte, especially if there is no meat shield in front. Landsknecht can just dive in and do area damage on them, and MarineLord knows. MarineLord is going to tap out, and with that, DeMusliM takes game number 2. What a game! Absolutely stunning, I'm not gonna lie. That is a very, very good use of the Holy Roman Empire, and it looked very, very grim for a long time for DeMusliM. In fact, I've pretty much given up on him because it really felt like DeMusliM lost a lot of villagers, even with the Palace of Swabia. It takes a lot of time to replenish that. MarineLord was given a lot of time to build up his numbers. MarineLord was able to secure 3 relics, so DeMusliM only had 2 to work with. And if you look at the overall economies, that was way better for DeMusliM. 10,000 more gold. Obviously, he had the sacred sites for a long time. He still had 2 relics in the Ragnis Cathedral, which is like 600 gold per minute. Slightly better food. 5k more food, though, out here. Despite the fact that MarineLord killed 345 units and only lost 213. So the KD advantage was heavily on the side of MarineLord. Very nicely used Holy Roman Empire over here. I think the key thing was that he was able to deny map control from MarineLord, because MarineLord just wasn't able to secure wood income for himself, and that started to show. So if you look at his actual wood count in the bank, it just dropped gradually in the last 3-4 minutes of the game, and he just couldn't chop wood anywhere. So he couldn't replace his own bombards, his own siege weapons, and he really needed siege weapons against the Landsknechte. He needs like 10 Nest of Bees to deal with the Landsknechte. That's probably his best bet, but once he lost all his siege weapons and he didn't have access to wood, he wasn't able to replenish them. With that being said, we are going to have a decider game number 3 over here. 1-1 is the scoreline, and it is indeed an enormous win for DeMusliM because he evens out the series in a best of 3. There is little room for error. So now, it's an even-Steven scoreline. If you look at the matchups remaining, DeMusliM still has Chinese and Mongols available. Whereas on the other side, French probably for MarineLord, or English. But I actually like Mongols over either French or English. I think English have a better chance against Mongols, but both of those are very, very difficult. And I actually think that the civilization advantage is now on the side of the Muslims, so being able to win with the HRE against the Chinese here is huge. Obviously, he lost his English versus the Rus, but he might go into game number 3 Lipony with a civilization advantage. Alrighty. Let's see if we have a game. Can they not pick Delhi Abbasid? They can, but why would they? We don't have any map where Delhi is exceptional. Same thing for Abbasids, as we are jumping into game number 3. And it's going to be French versus the Mongols. This is going to be a tough matchup for MarineLord. Not impossible, but I feel like every single person on this planet would rate the Mongols above the French right now. Mongols, with their flood of spearmen and archers, that's very, very difficult for the French to deal with. Mongols also playing professional scouts helps a lot. So there's a lot of options with the Mongols. They can nail a nice castle age time, or they can play a very aggressive feudal age. So a lot of flexibility, a lot of options, whereas for MarineLord's French, they're a little bit more one-dimensional towards their cavalry play. They have a powerful economy, but that flood of infantry from the Mongols could be just devastating. Okay, by the way, I do have some good news because I was talking to someone in this little break, and I'll actually be casting with Aussie Drongo for probably the semifinals and the grand finals of today. So I didn't expect him to be around. I actually thought he's on vacation, but Drongo is going to be joining me over here. We're just sort of trying to figure out which set we're casting because we didn't have any kind of prior scheduling to this day. Like, I pretty much just saw him streaming and I was like, I might as well talk to him about that. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure. Let's go for it. So yeah, I'll actually take a half a minute break here while the countdown is going on and get a drink. And then we jump into game number 3 over here. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Let me catch up on the chat. Okay, so the semifinals don't start before all quarterfinals are played. That's what we're told. That's actually good because if like one of the semifinals is delayed because some quarterfinals are still going on, we can take a look at a different quarterfinal as well. So we'll figure things out as we go. It's a little bit chaotic right now in this morning, but one thing is sure, we're jumping into game number 3 over here. This is for a spot in the semifinals in the $20,000 SteelSeries Prime Cup. On the right side is going to be MarineLord on his own home map, Lipany, playing as the Blue French, opening with a scout right away. Whereas on the other side, it is going to be Mongols for the DeMusliM. I think he's got the civilization advantage, and he also seems to have a spectacular starting spot over here with his town center. He's a little slow deploying it. He probably had the villager blocking the foundation, but that is probably a 10 out of 10 spot for that town center, right next to the wood and the gold. Absolutely beautiful. It's a little far away from the berries, but that's not really a big deal right now. This is actually a very, very good spot for the DeMusliM. Looking at his stone mine, though, that's very, very far away. That is actually a big stone mine, so this is his starting stone. That's where he probably wants to place his Ovu. It's kind of far away from the town center. It's all the way at the back, so it's going to be difficult to use double training to reinforce the battlefield. Looking at the DeMusliM, he is... Oh, he actually has an Ovu on the front here as well. I didn't see that. That's a much, much better Ovu. Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 base here for the DeMusliM. Town center on the wood and the gold. And you also have an Ovu that's on the front, but it's rather close to your town center, so it's not really exposed. This is a very, very good start for him. Other side, MarineLord's gold is quite a bit exposed over here on the left side of his base. You see it's sort of out in the wilderness, quite far away from the town center. Woodlines are both on the front as well, which is not ideal. He's got his patches of berries on the right side, a little bit open as well. Not a great map for MarineLord, I'm not gonna lie. Looks like MarineLord will be able to scout the Ovu of his opponent. The DeMusliM only went for one Khan so far, so he's not adding any additional scouts from the town center. The question is if we are seeing any early scouts from a stable, and the answer is no. Instead, we're going to have barracks coming out for spearmen. Not necessarily a bad start for the Muslim. I actually like it, because with the spearmen you can harass this gold mine, and one of the ways that you can sort of slow down that knight push from the French is by going aggressive with spearmen in Dark Age. You can delay the gold income, and if you can just harass this gold mine with a couple of spearmen, it's gonna be extremely difficult for MarineLord to access gold and to get knights out. Here comes the double spearman already. I don't think that the MarineLord was able to see that barracks, and I think that's gonna be for towers. Towers and spearmen, probably the best combination the Muslim can go for. And you see that MarineLord is realizing what's going on. MarineLord is actually coming up with walls on the northern part of his base. It's a clever wall because it's going to prevent flanking from this side. You can still walk all the way around on the north, but that takes a lot of time. And he has to go for spearmen. He has to go for spearmen because he knows that spears are coming. The problem here for him is that the double training of the Mongol spearman is more cost effective and faster than his own singly trained spearman, and he's off from gold. This is a disaster for MarineLord. This is an absolute disaster, because now he's forced to make a barracks, make spears, and that's something that the Mongols will be very happy about, forcing the French to make a barracks in Dark Age. Because, to be honest, all that the Muslim needs to go right now for is just keep spamming that spearman, and MarineLord is 2 gold short of Feudal Age. Oh, that's a disaster. The good news for him is that he just needs to bring in 2 gold so he can send out a villager here and walk all the way back, but that 2 gold is just so problematic. If he gets 200 gold, it's a different scenario because he can think about Feudal Age, and he's trying to send out a kamikaze villager for 2 gold. Look at that. Grand Theft gold here, as he's going to take 3 gold back home. Now, even if he is there with the gold, he won't have the food just yet, and remember that the Muslim is burning down this mining camp. This means that with the mining camp set on fire, the Muslim gets 50 gold and 50 food, and that's very impactful at the beginning of the game, if you think about that. Basically, the Muslim sets another building on fire, and he's there at his Feudal Age with the gold, and he doesn't even need to mine any. So that extra food and gold you get from setting buildings on fire is actually very effective. And wait a minute, he didn't drop off the gold. Did he retask the villager? If he retasked the villager to food before dropping the gold, he loses that gold. Oh, that's a disaster. He needs to do it again. Every single second he delays is just going to make his pain even worse. And that's a lot of spearmen to fight against. In fact, the Muslim looks like he might actually beat him to Feudal Age. And if we get to Feudal here, that's gonna come down to Archer and Spearman flood from the Mongols. I have no idea how MarineLord is gonna defend this one, I'm not gonna lie. Because now he's got the gold for Feudal Age, but he's still low on food. He's constantly forced to make spearmen. Remember what I said, the double training is a lot more food and food effective. Because you are spending 60 food for 2 spearmen with the Mongols. You're sending 60 food per spearman for the French. So it's a lot more food effective for the Muslim, and he's going up to Feudal Age. He's getting the Deer Stones up, and the Deer Stones will allow his towers with the Yem network to boost the infantry as well. This is looking like a great game here. This is looking like an amazing game, and all that the Muslim needs to do is just add 2 more ranges when he gets to Feudal Age, start pumping out archers, and I don't see MarineLord being able to survive this. Absolutely well played here from him. He diagnosed that his opponent's gold mine is very much exposed, and he was able to exploit that to a perfect effect. He knows exactly that one of the best ways to slow down a French knight push is to push their gold mine at the beginning. And he realized that, okay, my opponent's gold mine is so exposed, I can just harass that, and he indeed delayed the Feudal Age of his opponent quite a bit. School of Cavalry on the way for MarineLord, but he won't really be able to use a lot of knights here, because the spearman number is already very high. The Muslim break through this wall, MarineLord just spamming walls here, trying to slow down this push as much as possible, holding onto this wood line on the right side. We got some scouts coming in here from MarineLord, not sure what exactly they're up to. They're trying to burn down the Ovu. That feels like a desperation move. 2 spearmen would deal with this one without any trouble. At this point, MarineLord is like, okay, I need to somehow slow this flood of infantry down, try to burn down that Ovu, try and prevent my opponent from going for double spearmen, but he doesn't really have that window because the 2 spearmen are about to arrive, and the Muslim can just even make a defensive tower over here. The Muslim knows that he's got map control, so he's even moving out to the Gur, close to those hunt as we're not seeing an archer range dropped. Instead, Hardened Spearman is going to be the name of the game. Defensive tower coming in from MarineLord. Now, MarineLord stabilized a tiny bit, and this is the last game of the set no matter what, so he's not gonna give up on this easily. But I think at this point, DeMusliM is playing from a massively advantageous position right now. He's got the map control, he's the one being the aggressor, and he's the one that's denying the gold income from MarineLord as it is. MarineLord actually has to move all the way to the left side to take this gold mine out here. Some more spears are coming in. Still no archer range for DeMusliM, so looks like it's just full spearman flood. He actually breaks through the walls over here, and a villager is making a run for it. That villager is trying to get a tower up at the back of this wood line. It's all about that tower on those wood lines, trying to deny the wood income from the opponent, because the thing is that right now MarineLord doesn't have map control, and he doesn't even have scouts once this one dies, so he can't ferry in deer. He can't really access his berries, so soon he's gonna have to make farms, and if he doesn't have wood income, then he won't be able to do it. Now, there's an archer range here for MarineLord, and I did mention that DeMusliM delayed his archer play a lot. So now things could start swinging in the favor of MarineLord, because once archers hit the field, those spearmen will be quite underwhelming. Tower coming up slow and steady. The spearmen will go down here from MarineLord, and the towers will help against those archers, but you still want to add some of your own archers here if you are DeMusliM, but it looks like he's not doing that. The Khan is on the right side, so it won't be able to scout these villagers on the left side. MarineLord gets away with some sneaky gold mining on that side. We got some arrow slits on these towers already for DeMusliM, so these are going to be difficult to clean up for MarineLord. But MarineLord is increasing his archer numbers, so things might actually stabilize for him here if he can pick off all those spearmen. Spearman retreating for the time being, will survive that volley of arrows, but now I feel like DeMusliM needs archers above all. Horsemen could also work for him, I can see either of those being a thing, but he needs something that deals with those archers, because at this point, MarineLord is picking apart those spearmen, and if those spearmen go down, one or two knights or horsemen could start popping out and starting to take down these towers. There is all the spearmen going down. If you look at the KD, now it actually starts swinging in the favor of MarineLord. It's now 15 to 16. Towers are still up though, and resources are being denied, so still not an ideal situation here for MarineLord. I love how DeMusliM is diving in with that Khan, trying to get some hits in, and then running away, healing it up. Nice little use of that Khan. And you see MarineLord is doing a mass migration. Look at this place, by the way. Wood, food, gold, very close to each other. It's actually a very, very nice secondary base location. Luckily for MarineLord, by the way, he's French, so his drop-off buildings, the mining camps and lumber camps, are cheaper. And because of that, he can relocate his lumberjacking operation a lot easier. Still no archer range for DeMusliM though, instead he's going castle. I like that a lot. The thing is that you could actually press on with Feudal Age here, but is it worth it? How much can you accomplish in Feudal Age here? Not much, right? But what if you go Castle Age? If you go Castle Age here, Mongol men-at-arms could just shut everything here. There is barely any knights, so one or two Feudal Age knights won't stop the men-at-arms. Or Lancers could also work perfectly fine. You could think about the double archer production and just going forward and pushing your opponent in Feudal, but I think for DeMusliM, Castle Age is a safer play, and he's going for that. By the way, I also like this deer operation over here. With the network of the towers here, with the yam speed, these villagers are affected, so even though the deer are actually pretty far from the gur, they can drop it off quite fast. Towers are still up, so this wood line is not operational. MarineLord managed to recover his economy, but DeMusliM is on the way to Castle Age, coming in with double stables. It's gonna be Lancer play. We'll probably get defense upgrade on the cavalry first in Pierce Armor, simply because you want to have your Lancers survive a lot of arrow fire. You just want to run around the opponent's town center starting to kill villagers. The ultimate win here for DeMusliM would be finding this. The moment he finds this, it's game over. Because there is no way MarineLord recovers from losing 18 villagers on the left side. Vol's coming in here for DeMusliM, or for MarineLord, excuse me. Defensive tower up as well, but MarineLord is now at least 2 steps behind. He's not very far away from Castle Age, but he's gonna be behind at least by 2 minutes or so. As things stand, DeMusliM has 3 towers on the right side, all of them with arrow slits. The Khan is still around, trying to check if MarineLord is moving out. But at this point, this angle has been given up on by MarineLord. so was this one surrendered. All that DeMusliM needs is just one scout on this side. Everything that MarineLord has is over here. Stone, food, gold, wood. He just needs 2 or 3 Lancers over there, and this game is over instantly. Castle Age is almost in. Step Red Up now being built by 13 vills. MarineLord is not far away, by the way, so since that Step Red Up wasn't really rushed up, it was only built with 4 vills, MarineLord might have a window to click up himself, and he's going after the guild hall. The problem that he's gonna face is that he's still at least a minute away from Castle Age, only building that landmark with 8 villagers. And now, we could see some Lancers pop out. Nice raid here by MarineLord, denying those berries from DeMusliM. So currently DeMusliM has some food control issues, as we will have the first Lancers coming out. One of them is actually a double batch. No units popping out of that barracks, but we do have the Pierce defense upgrade coming in. DeMusliM really wants those berries, but he simply can't take it. That is definitely annoying for him. He's trying to go back there, but he needs to be careful. A lot of those villagers are weak. Lancers are now coming out, and one of those knights are also quite heavily damaged. So this shouldn't be a massive issue for DeMusliM, and he doesn't even lose a single villager here. On the right side, as I said, MarineLord has given up on everything. So DeMusliM needs to start realizing that his opponent moved his entire eco to the left. Because that's the obvious reaction, right? I don't have anything on the right side. I have moved everything to the left, and now DeMusliM is gonna find this. He's gonna find everything, and there is nothing here, nothing on this planet for MarineLord that stops those Lancers. He's got like 2 or 3 knights, a couple of archers, but at this point those knights don't have the Castle Age upgrades. His opponent already has it, and it's gonna be very difficult to match that double training from the Mongols. Now it's a Mongol Khan as well with the Castle Age bow that actually gives it a lot of extra firepower. So DeMusliM can start getting the Lancers in. 2 more come in just now. They will be able to get on the battlefield really fast with the Yam network. And now it's about the idle time. It's gonna be extremely difficult for MarineLord to replenish his army when his entire eco is idled, and there is nowhere to go. Only 1 tower out here, so far away from the town center. That's gonna be a lot of dead villagers. A couple of crossbows are trying to pop out, but crossbows, if you don't have a meat shield in front of them and they're in small numbers, they will just get picked apart by the Lancers. This might be game here. This might be game. And MarineLord was up 1 game. DeMusliM looked like he had a rough time in the first part of the previous game, and then he turns it around. It's a best of 3 only, so upsets are much easier to pull off, because even though DeMusliM performed really well in this tournament, the favorite for most people was MarineLord in this set. This being said, DeMusliM played extremely well. In this last game, I think he had a civilization advantage, although in the first game it was DeMusliM who had the civ advantage, so we are even in that regard. But at the end of the day, he used Mongols perfectly here, exploited the fact that MarineLord's gold mine was exposed. MarineLord taps out, and it is not MarineLord moving into the semi-finals. It is DeMusliM. What a play from him, and it's actually a reverse sweep. He was down 1 game, and then won 2 in a row, and that HRE win on Hillandale was probably even more impactful than this one, because that brought him back to the series, and that game looked pretty grim for a long time. He only had 2 relics with the Ragnitz Cathedral. He lost 3 to his opponent. MarineLord actually had 3 sacred sites for a long time, and then the knights broke into DeMuslim's base. DeMuslim went down to 20 villagers, which is quite rough even when you have the Palace of Swabia. But then he managed to recover. The infantry flood won him the game in game number 2, and then game number 3. It was all Mongols, perfectly executed spearman rush over here. MarineLord had to react, and MarineLord just had a very, very rough Dark Age that snowballed the game out of control. DeMusliM, definitely his best AoE 4 tournament performance so far. He's moving into the semifinals, and he's not done yet, and he's been playing really well. So whoever gets a matchup against him, that's gonna be a rough one, I must say. Congratulations to DeMusliM. With that, we are gonna have him as one of the semi-finalists.